Welcome back to my so-called card life. This week, we're fresh off the heels of an incredibly successful GOAT card show here in Green Bay, Wisconsin. But this episode is not really about the GOAT card show itself. That just happened to be the venue where I was buying. What this episode is really about is how I buy inventory at a card show. Not just what I bought, not just whether I found cool cards, but how I walk into a show with a plan, how I decide where to spend time, what I'm looking for when I dig, how I work with dealers, and how I try to leave with inventory that actually fits my store. I came into this show with a $200 budget, a couple of clear priorities, and a process. By the end of the day, I had pulled together nearly $400 in dealer ask prices, and I got out the door at $240 even. And that $240 didn't just buy cards. I brought home 214 cards, plus 178 card sleeves, 8 card savers, 55 top loaders, 3 one-touches, and 3 unopened 9-card packs of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So this episode is really about what it looks like to buy inventory at a show like an operator and not just like a collector with cash in their pocket. So let's get into it. Welcome to my so-called card life, the podcast where we talk about what actually happens when you try to run a real card business, the decisions, adjustments, and lessons that don't show up in highlight reels. Welcome to my so-called card life, an inside look at the life of a low-end card reseller, brought to you by JC3 Cards and Collectibles, a premier reseller of trading cards available today on eBay, Collects, and whatnot. Whether you're looking to fill out that new set or just rekindle memories with one of your favorite players from your favorite teams, let JC3 Cards and Collectibles help you find that card you're looking for and provide fast, secure delivery straight to your door. We've got a special edition of my so-called card life this week. Hot off the GOAT Trading Card Show, we've got some inventory to show off. That's right, we're going to have some special pickups content. As we go through our topics this week, you'll see me share some of the relevant pickups to that topic. And if you stick around to the end, you'll find some significant bonus content this week. That's right, at the end of this episode, we will share with you all the rest of our inventory picked up at the recent GOAT Trading Card Show in Green Bay, Wisconsin. So we hope you enjoy, because we certainly had fun picking it up. So whenever I go to a local or regional card show as a buyer, I don't want to walk in and just react to whatever is in front of me. That doesn't mean I have every dollar pre-assigned. It does mean I want to walk in with some structure. For this show, I came in with a $200 working budget and 2 clear priorities. The first priority was a dealer that I already know well. A dealer that consistently brings in non-sport inventory, especially Kakao Disney and Pixar choices, which has become a real staple in my store. The second priority was fresh baseball inventory. Baseball had already been building for a while. Spring training had people paying attention again. The MLB season was getting underway. The World Baseball Classic had wrapped up. Baseball was moving, and I wanted to make sure I kept feeding that category with some fresh inventory. So before I ever even looked at a table, I already knew I had two major lanes I wanted to attack. And I think that matters. I think too many people go into a card show thinking they're going sourcing, but really they're just going shopping. Because there's a difference. Shopping is reactive. Sourcing is filtering. Shopping says, what do I like? While sourcing says, what fits the store, the budget, the inventory mix, and the sell through I'm trying to build? That is the mindset I wanted to carry into this room. The first stop for me at a local show is often the same: the dealer relationship that I trust. And I think this is one of the most important lessons in card show buying if you are trying to do this as a reseller. Relationships with dealers matter. Not in some fake networking way, not in some I know a guy bragging way. I mean, they matter because over time, dealers start to understand what you buy, what you avoid, what categories actually work for your store, and what kind of buyer you are. That changes access. That changes pricing. And that changes variety. And in the best cases, it changes what the dealer even decides to bring to the room. For me, this specific dealer has become a key stop because they usually have the type of non sport inventory that I just don't reliably see elsewhere at local shows. And that matters. Scarcity is not just about the card. Scarcity can also be about the supply source. So I try to hit that table early. If there is a dealer who consistently has a product category I know works for me, and they are one of the only local sources for it, I don't want that to be my fifth stop. I want that to be my first of the day. Now, one thing I think is important here: a relationship does not mean you buy blindly. It doesn't mean you overbuy. It doesn't mean you force yourself into inventory just because you like the dealer. It means the relationship earns that table more attention and often creates a better buying environment. And with the dealer in particular that I'm speaking of, I also know something else. They're often worth revisiting. Sometimes they bring more out later. Sometimes they have product behind the table that they're not quite ready to show immediately. And sometimes prices soften a little as the show moves along. So even when I make an early buy there, I usually treat that as the first visit of the day, but not the only visit. There is another area where I think resellers can get themselves into trouble. You can have a category that works for you and still overbuy it. Before a show, even while I'm standing at a dealer's table, I'm thinking about what I already have listed and what I know I already have sitting in back stock waiting to be listed. Because unless the deal is exceptional, or unless the inventory is moving fast enough that I want to keep piling in, I don't think it makes sense to just buy the same things over and over again because they are available. This came up directly with that first dealer. As usual, they had a lot of cacao available, and I really liked that product. They had singles, they had some bulk boxes, they had some sealed product, and on the surface, that sounds like exactly the kind of thing I should be loading up on. And don't get me wrong, I wanted to. But when I thought about where my current cacao levels already were, I didn't feel like I needed to dedicate a huge share of my show budget there. Now, that doesn't mean I passed on the category entirely. I still bought some non sport because I almost always do with that dealer. But it did mean I stayed disciplined and shifted more of my attention into the sports side of their table, where I was able to secure some solid buys without just deepening a category that was already reasonably represented in my inventory. That, to me, is one of the real differences between hobby buying and operational buying. Operational buying is not just asking, is this good? It's asking, is this good for me right now? And those are not always the same question. Baseball was the second major lane I wanted to hit. But I was not just trying to buy random baseball cards because baseball happened to be active. I was on the hunt for really two specific types of baseball inventory. The first was fresh product, things that felt current, felt new to buyers, and have some visual energy to them. Topps Cosmic was one of the products on my mind as I walked the room. It's a product I don't really buy boxes of, and I don't find a ton of it in value boxes. So I wanted to see if I could maybe dig some out somewhere because I feel it's a set that has a lot of following on it. The second was what I am almost always looking for in baseball, and that is liquid names, recognizable names, names that a casual buyer knows in an instant, names that move, names where I don't need to explain to the market why that player matters. That can be stars, legends, or just names with known hobby familiarity and consistent movement. Because the reality is, especially in the lower end and mid tier resale, familiarity does a lot of the work. A card does not have to be rare to be useful, and a card doesn't have to be expensive to be useful. But it does help if it is attached to a name people instantly recognize and buy with some consistency. So when I say I wanted baseball, what I really mean is I wanted the right baseball. fresh where it makes sense and liquid where it makes sense. And ideally at price points that let me fit those cards into my store model without needing miracle sales to justify the buy. Once I completed that initial non sport buy, that's when I shifted into what I would call room assessment mode. This is the phase where I start walking the floor and trying to understand the show before I commit too much more of the budget to any given dealer. I'm asking myself who's here, what kinds of products are actually present, what dealers are worth circling back to, and what category seems strong at this specific show. Where are the value boxes located, and where are the cleanly priced tables? Is there a section of the room where I might have an edge? Asking all those things, I think, is kind of underrated because there is always temptation at a show. Once you start buying, you just keep buying. But I don't want to burn through too much of my budget before I understand what the room actually offers. Some shows are going to lean heavy to modern sports. Some are going to have stronger vintage presence. Some are going to have one dealer with a niche category you can exploit, while others are going to have better value box opportunities than expected. And some are going to have a wildcard lane you did not plan on seeing at all. You don't learn any of that by standing at one table all day. So once I made my first targeted buy, I started moving through the room with the goal of understanding where my best opportunities actually were. As I move through a show, I'm not just choosing what cards to buy. I'm also choosing which tables deserve my time. And time is probably the most underappreciated cost in card show sourcing. If I see a messy dealer setup with no real attempt at clear pricing, that's usually a pass for me. Not because there cannot be good cards there, there most likely are. But as a digger, I'm trying to make rational decisions about where my effort has the best chance to convert into actual inventory and actual margin. If I am going to spend 45 minutes or an hour digging through a table, I need some sense of confidence that the pricing structure is going to make that effort worthwhile. And in my experience, tables without clear pricing usually go down one of two difficult paths. Either the pricing system is overly complicated with color coding, packaging differences, category distinctions, a bunch of small rules that are hard to keep straight while you're trying to dig quickly, or the dealer wants to go card by card and effectively price the stack after the fact. And as a volume digger, well, that just doesn't work for me. It slows down the process way too much, and it creates too much uncertainty. And it makes it harder to know whether the dig was even worth doing. So, I look for pricing that is visible, understandable, and workable. And that doesn't mean every table has to be perfect, but I want enough clarity to know that if I invest some significant time, I should have a real shot at a feasible return. And that's an operational filter, not a card filter. And it can save a lot of wasted time. Even though I'm trying to build more inventory these days in that $5 and up lane of my store, the truth is my bread and butter is still in the value boxes. I will absolutely look at slabs, and I'll absolutely look at stronger singles, and I'll absolutely pay attention to inventory that can help me build better average selling price and better margin. But the majority of my digging time is still spent in dollar boxes, quarter boxes, dime boxes, and those low end value setups. This is still where a lot of my model lives, and it's still where I can source with the most repetition. That is still where I can most often find cards that fit how I buy, how I list, and how I sell. And I think it's important to say that clearly because sometimes people act like the only real way to source is to stand behind glass cases and negotiate over bigger singles. But that's not my model. My model still depends heavily on being able to pull real value out of lower end boxes. And that's where I spend most of my time. And frankly, it's still where I feel a lot of my edge exists. As I go through a value box, no matter the exact price level, I'm usually filtering through four main things. First thing I look for is recognizable names. I want players or personalities that people know. That doesn't mean every card has to be a superstar, but I do think recognition matters, especially when you're trying to move cards in a lower end or mid tier channel. If a buyer knows the name immediately, that can do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. The second thing I look for is that shiny element: chrome, prism, refractor style finishes. Anything with a stronger visual appeal, because modern casual buyers are often attracted to eye appeal before they're attracted to technical nuance. And that's just the reality of the market. A shinier card can outperform a player one in terms of buyer attention, even if the underlying player tier is exactly the same. And third, I look for proven liquidity. And this is a huge one for me. I'm looking for names, products, and card types that I either know from my own selling history or have researched enough to have trust in. And I'm not looking for theoretical value there, not a maybe someone will want this. I'm talking actual movement, actual liquidity, and actual evidence that the card or player has a market. And fourth, I keep an eye out for some scarcity. And this is one that I think people miss more often than they should. You can absolutely find scarcity in value boxes. Sometimes it shows up in prospects, sometimes it shows up in lower end sets, sometimes it shows up in mid tier players who were never expensive enough for someone to separate carefully. But real scarcity can still be there. This actually happened to me this past weekend as a Diamondbacks prospect card from 2020 showed up in a quarter box that was serial numbered out of 25. Now, this is a prospect that had a few setbacks, but was still active in the Diamondback system and had advanced to AAA with some spring training tryouts. Now, that kind of card does not automatically become a home run, but scarcity alone does not guarantee liquidity. But it does create an informational advantage if you're paying attention. So for me, Those are four key filters: recognizable names, shiny material, proven liquidity, and scarcity. And the more quickly I can run through those filters in my head, the more effective I can be in a value box. As I move through tables and start digging through boxes, I do think it's important to at least attempt some level of conversation with the dealer. Now, that doesn't mean force small talk, and it doesn't mean trying to become best friends in 30 seconds. What it means is just a quick introduction, maybe an icebreaker, and a quick read on who you're dealing with. Because I've found that building some level of rapport can absolutely make it easier to build a stack, negotiate, and create a smoother overall buying process. But, and this is the important part, you have to read the dealer. There are dealers who enjoy conversation, and there are dealers who are relational. There certainly are dealers who want to talk sports, cards, the room, current product, whatever it might be. But then there are also dealers who are not interested in that at all. They're there simply to transact, and that's it. You need to identify which type you're dealing with early. So I try to make a quick opening, and then I read the response. Are they warm? Are they engaged? Do they really seem to want to talk? Or are they giving short answers and clearly signaling that they would rather just handle the transaction? That matters, because if you keep pushing relationship energy on a dealer who clearly does not want it, you're not doing yourself any favors. But when you find a dealer who is responsive, that rapport can really matter. It can create a real ease of doing business. And more importantly, it can create some trust. And it can make negotiation feel a lot more natural once that stack starts to build. As I moved through the show, I also found something that I've not really explored in a serious way yet. And that was vintage sports cards. I found a dealer with a couple tables full of vintage baseball. And in particular, I found a value box that was marked at half off listed prices. Now, vintage is not a lane where I would say I currently have a deep operating edge. I'm less educated there than I am in my normal lanes. And because of that, I don't want my first step into vintage to be a high risk step. So, what made this attractive to me was not just the category, it was the entry point. A discounted value box setup in a less familiar lane gives me a chance to learn without taking on too much risk. That is the kind of diversification I'm comfortable with. Not reckless expansion, not pretending I know more than I do. Just a controlled entry into a category where the downside is manageable and the learning is real. I think that's an important distinction. Trying a new lane is absolutely fine. Trying a new lane expensively without enough knowledge usually is not going to lead to good results. My final buy of the day really highlights something else I think matters in card show buying. You need a plan, but you also need to leave room for the unexpected. In this case, the unexpected category was professional wrestling. Now, I am a true wrestling fan. That part is real. WWE, older WCW and AWA, and a little bit of AEW more recently. This is a category I actually enjoy. But enjoyment alone is not enough for me to buy it as inventory. In fact, my experience over the last couple years has actually made me a bit more selective with wrestling cards. Because a lot of wrestling cards, especially base cards and non scarce inserts, tend to be overpriced relative to their actual liquidity. In other words, I often think the show price is stronger than the resale reality. So I've gotten pretty selective with my wrestling pickups. But near the end of the show, after I was already basically at my stated budget, I came across a table with multiple monster boxes of wrestling cards, and I started to casually thumb through them, mostly out of curiosity. This was a dealer whose inventory I had not seen at this show before, so it was an opportunity to engage with the dealer I hadn't spoke to in the past and see some interesting inventory that I normally wasn't seeing. And I found two things that changed the equation here. First, the inventory quality was much better than what I usually see in wrestling at a show. More chrome, more shine, better overall eye appeal, and more mid-tier material that looked like it had a real chance to play. Second, the prices were actually reasonable, and that combination mattered. So I started talking to the dealer while I kept on digging, and pretty quickly it became clear that this was not just a dealer with wrestling inventory. This was another person who genuinely knew and followed wrestling. And that common ground helped. We started talking wrestling storylines, current product, just wrestling in general. And that conversation built some trust very quickly. That matters because once you start building a real stack, you're also starting to build leverage. A stack tells the dealer you're serious about making a purchase. A good conversation tells the dealer you're for real. And when both of those things happen together, you often create room to work together. And that's exactly what happened here. I had enough in the stack and enough confidence in the inventory quality that I decided this was one of those exceptions worth making. So yes, I ended up going a little beyond the original $200 show budget. But I did it for a reason. Not because I got loose, not because I lost discipline, but because I found a late show opportunity where the inventory, the pricing, and the dealer interaction all lined up in a way that I thought justified the move. And that's a very different thing. So let's take a look at our overall sourcing result for this show. At the end of the day, the total dealer ask on the inventory I bought was close to $400. And the final paid number was $240 even. So that means I captured about $150 off the asking price, which works out to just short of a 40% discount. That's the first part of the story. The second part is what I actually came home with. Because this was not simply just $240 for a pile of cards. What I actually brought home was 214 cards, 178 card sleeves, 8 card savers, 55 top loaders, 3 one touches, and 3 unopened 9 card packs of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I think that matters because one common mistake people make is they summarize a show day too simply. They say, I spent $240 on cards, but that's not really the whole story. I spent $240 on inventory plus supplies that I would otherwise need to buy later, plus sealed product that has either resale value, content value, or both. So, the real value of the day is stronger than just dividing 240 by 214 cards and calling it a day. The point is not just that I bought cards. The point is that I bought usable business value, inventory value, supply value, and opportunity value. And that is how I want to think about show buying whenever possible. So if I step back from the specifics, what do I think the actual lessons are from this show? First, go in with a plan. Not a rigid script, but a real plan. Second, relationships matter. The dealers who know you, know what you buy, and trust that you are a real buyer can change the quality of the opportunities you get. Third, know your current inventory before you keep adding more of the same thing. A category can be good and still not be the right buy for that day. Fourth, scout the room. Don't spend too much time too early if you don't understand what the show actually offers yet. Fifth, choose tables with intention. Clear pricing saves time, and time is a real cost. Sixth, value boxes still matter a lot. This is still where a lot of my actual sourcing model lives. Seventh, use repeatable filters. Recognizable names, shiny material, proven liquidity, and scarcity. Those filters keep the digging process efficient. And eighth, stay disciplined. But don't become so rigid that you miss the right unexpected opportunity. And finally, count the full deal. Not just the cards, because sometimes the best buy is not the flashiest buy. Sometimes the best buy is the one that improves your inventory, your margin, and lowers future operating costs all at the same time. This is what I'm trying to get better at. Not just finding cards, finding the right business value. Well, that is the educational side of this week's episode. This is how I approached the show, what I was looking for, how I chose where to spend time, and how the numbers worked at the end of the day. From here forward, we're in bonus content, and I'm going to show the rest of the inventory we brought home from the show and talk through the buys in a little more detail. But for the main episode, that is really the point. Have a plan, know your lanes, know your inventory, choose your tables carefully, and stay flexible enough to recognize the right opportunity when it shows up. I did not leave with just 214 cards. I left with inventory, supplies, sealed product, and a better understanding of where my buying edge actually is. And that is the kind of result that helps build a real card business. So go ahead, keep on building your so-called card life. Enjoy the bonus content. All right, folks, as promised, from here on out, we've got bonus content for you. We got the business done, and now we get to have a little fun with the rest of the inventory. If you skipped ahead and jumped right to the bonus content here because you wanted to see all the pickups, that's fine as well. But you should know that we shared some of the pickups as we went through the podcast this week and talked about different topics. So if you truly want to see everything, make sure you check out the full episode. But the majority of those pickups are going to be here in the bonus content. So these cards that we're going to be going through today are no longer grouped by dealer. They're commingled a little bit as I went through them when I got home, but we'll try to sort them out by category. We'll walk through some non-sport, some baseball. We'll pick out some recognizable liquid names, some scarcity finds. We'll show some vintage trial buys that we made, and then, of course, the wrestling wild card we picked up. All topics we discussed in this week's podcast. So as I show them, I'll talk a little bit about why I bought these and how they fit into the plan. I hope you enjoy it. It's always a pleasure bringing you content like this. We love to do it, and we hope you find some value in it as well as you go down your own reselling journey. So we'd love to hear from you in the comments what you think about this buy. We had a great time doing it, and we hope you like it as well. All right, here we go with some bonus content. I don't do this very often anymore, but we're doing a pickups video because I've been asked when I'm going to do another pickups video. And this gets to be a little difficult in the JC3 studios at times because I'm in a pretty busy house. Wouldn't be surprised if you hear the family doing some things in the background as we go along, but figured we'll give it a shot. So this first set of cards actually comes out of a Disney Pixar pack that a non-sport dealer had for me. There are some duplicates in here, but all of these come from doing some research on these. I believe it's 2023 Card Fun Disney Pixar set. They're Chinese, and there is some English in them, but most of the details are in Chinese writing. So let's go ahead and get started. Here's a couple of Lotso Bear from Toy Story, right? And we've got Mr. Incredible. How about a couple of Rex from Toy Story? And these are all the super rares. So they've got the holographic foil on those. I love Toy Story. Here's a couple. I got 2 copies of Ham. And then we got some Finding Nemo in here as well. What is this character's name? Ray. Well, that makes sense because It's a Stingray. I got 2 copies of Ray. And then 2 copies of Hank. If you don't remember Hank, Hank is an octopus. Back to, I believe, the Incredibles. These are 2 copies of Mirage. And let's see here. Oh, you know what? I think I got all these upside down. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it's 5 copies here of Bailey. How about that? Bailey. 5 copies. Boom. Look at that. And then we've got 3 copies of one of my favorite side characters, Bullseye. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 copies here of the aliens. Remember from the claw machine? The claw. 2 copies here of Destiny the Shark. Very nice. And another one of the cuter characters here. 4 copies of Bunny and Ducky. Look at that. Nice stuff. I love the foil. It's got a nice pop to it. You can see it catching the light. So dealer had these out in a 32 card lot bag, and they were asking 15 on that. I believe we negotiated to less than $10 on these 32 cards. So really nice pickup there. Very pleased with that set. I think I'll do okay on that. The next group of cards here was a mystery pack, 50 plus non-sport cards. I really wasn't super interested in this one, but the dealer must have had them for a while and wasn't sure what to do with them. So actually, they offered me a pretty steep discount on these. And at the end of the day, the discount was good enough that I was like, yeah, I'll take a chance on it for that. So coming up first, we got some Cacawel from the Final Frame collection. So there's a nice Mickey Mouse. And this is the Disney 100 set from Cacawel. Got some more Mickey Mouse here. I love the old 8mm film print on this. Some more Mickey. A little black and white here. This is a full scene on this one. Oh gosh, there's a lot going on in there. I can't even begin to explain who's all in this one. Here's another classic Mickey. Oh, we got a little Donald Duck doing some surgical work there with a big mallet. And is it Pluto? Is that the name of that character? Pluto, I believe. I don't spend a lot of time looking at Mickey Mouse stuff anymore, but those are all horizontal. I'm going to grab those out of there and move on to the next set of cards in there. So, this is more Cacawel from, I don't think this is the Disney 100. I think these are Hot Box. Yeah, Hot Box. But here's a mini with the letter M. Nice shiny foil on that. Another mini with the letter L. So, mystery here. I don't know what's significant about the letter L. If anybody knows, give me a holler and let me know. Here is a little Star Wars Resistance foil, T3K10 droid. And then we got some more horizontal cards here I will set aside for a little bit. Another Star Wars Resistance Kragan Gore. Some more horizontals. And then one more Star Wars Resistance Tam Rivora, I believe. So nice Star Wars IP there. I always appreciate that. I'm going to pull these out so that I can move on to these horizontals again. Now, these are some top Star Wars resistance. So I have a feeling those last few cards were from an insert set. This is probably the base set. This one is with Poe Dameron and Kazuda Kiyono, I believe. Looks like a little Greedo there too. Meeting with General Leia. This is from the animated series, of course. Squaring the Deal. A couple of aliens there. BB-8. We got a BB-8 sighting. So a couple more Star Wars there to work with. Some I Love Lucy here. Best Dressed Friends. Used to watch a lot of I Love Lucy in syndication. Is your cocker off your rocker? Heck yeah. And then a horizontal here. Ricky is a big stinker. So interesting to get a little bit of I Love Lucy in there. I don't think I've had any I Love Lucy before. These ones, let's see. Funky Sales Corp 1976. I don't know that these are actually 1976 cards. Looks like they're funky facts, but they're kind of interesting. Again, this was a mystery pack from the dealer because he said, in his own words, he's like, I don't really know what to do with these. So here's another one. A little bit of a sports theme in these. Another funky facts. This one's a horizontal. So flip it over like so. So we'll see what we can do with that. I don't have a lot of expectations on that one. Again, ended up getting a really good deal on this because the dealer, wasn't sure what they'd do with them and was likely just going to sit in their pile. So a little Harley Davidson. This is a 1923 Harley. And a 1913 Harley. Look at that. That's kind of cool. Like, there's one more Harley here. I don't know who this is and why they're significant. Harley Davidson Galleon Reedy. If I look at the back, since her 2-year term as Miss Harley Davidson ended in March 1991. So I guess 1990 Miss Harley Davidson. Look at that. She likes her hogs. A few Hunchback of Notre Dame cards. So here's some punch-out coins. It says you can use them as play money, or you can punch them out and use them as trinkets to put on a necklace. This one has some puzzle pieces on this. Now, I have had a couple cards from this set before, and they have not done real well for me. We'll see what happens here. Okay, here's an activity card for Jester's Challenge. And then this set has some horizontals in it as well. There's one. These two looks like these are some standout cards. One with Quasimodo, because there's little perforations, those fold out. And here is Esmeralda and Quasimodo. That one might go okay. Here's a couple more punch-out characters, so those will stand up. And then the card serves as a base, of course. Probably all familiar with those kinds of cards. We get those in sports cards as well. Here's another odd set I haven't seen before. Bone. I think it's called Bone. And these are from 1994. It looks like a little cartoon series. That's some kind of storyboard shot. Looks like we're running with the Bulls here. Now this, I believe, is the main character, Phone Bone. Yeah, Phone Bone. Man, this one escapes me. I don't remember this one at all. Here's another one with the main character there. How about a little from the show Maverick? Actually, the movie Maverick. I don't know if anybody remembers this with Mel Gibson. So there's an action shot from the movie. Here's a nice profile shot of Mel Gibson in character. Some Extreme, Custom X Generation Extreme. Here's Surfer Nels. Here's an Extreme Skier, Keith. Here's, let's see, Brian Casario, Board Sailing. This might be some names some people remember. I guess we'll find out. Here's another Star Wars Resistance with an X-Wing fighter. This is another standee card, so that punches out and stands up straight. How about a Topps Chrome Disney with the Pixar series? This is Sadness. That's a fairly popular card, actually. Anxiety, sadness, anger, all those emotions in that particular movie, they actually do okay. So that should be an okay listing. We got a Looney Tunes here, Tasmanian Devil. We got some Desert Storm feeding the wild weasels. So you got a tanker jet fueling the fighters. Let's see here. Thanksgiving in the Desert. We got George Bush visiting the troops. UH-46 Sea Knight. So double prop Chinook helicopter. And then a knockout punch. Looks like a portable missile launcher there. So, yeah, a little bit of oddball stuff in that bag. Again, dealer threw me a really low price just to move it because they weren't sure what they were going to end up doing with it. So I took on the risk. Didn't know what was really in the pack. They did let me take a quick look, but honestly, I wasn't familiar with a lot of the properties in there. So we'll see what happens from that. Sometimes it's worth a little bit of a risk. Up next here, a nice foil card. It's a Disney IP. Not sure what set this is from. I'm kind of looking through here. I don't see any identifiers for the set. It might be from that Card Fun series again, but it's a nice foil card of Ariel from The Little Mermaid. Here's a die cut. I think this is Topps Disney. Jiminy Cricket die cut When You Wish Upon a Star. Actually, I almost bought this a couple times on Collects. I had some Collects credits to use, and I saw this a couple times and almost picked it up. Here we got some more Topps Disney, but foil. Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland. From Disney 100, Kakawal Disney 100. Here's a Mickey and Friends. Here's my bread and butter. I get these on a regular basis. It's usually what I go to this dealer for. So this is a Kakawal Lucky. And I know this is a lucky because if you look very carefully on the back here, let's see if I can get it. You can see those little perforations, and it's numbered out of 149. If I can get my stuff right here. Yeah, 149. But you'll see those little perforations right there. Goes all the way around. There's a little tab here. That's a little pull tab, and inside should be a little mini card. Now, these are a little touchy because usually I get people messaging me, is this unopened? So you can see with me, this is unopened. I'm going to list this, and someone's going to ask me, is this open before they buy it? And I'm going to say, nope, perforations are still intact. It has not been opened. And then what's happened to me before is the buyer gets this, and they say, hey, this was open before, and there's no card inside. And I have no idea why, because when I had it, it hadn't been open. So, but that is Sully from Monsters, Inc. And you can see that's a beautiful foil card. Nice looking borders on that. A good amount of foil. Just really love the design of these Kakawows. They do a really good job. And that's from the Cosmos, Kakawao Cosmos. So I buy those quite a bit. As I said in the podcast this week, just felt I was stocked pretty well on that. So I didn't buy a ton more of that, but I did pick that one up. And here is another Disney Shining Soul Disney Mickey and Friends. This one's still in the cello pack. A nice Mickey Mouse foil. I don't know if you could really see. Yeah, there you can see the shine catching the light there. Beautiful card there. And this is from the same set, Mickey and Friends Shining Soul. Another nice Mickey Mouse foil. Um, Catching the light beautifully there. So all of those came from the same dealer. Got a really nice discount. It's a dealer I really have a good relationship with. I enjoy sitting there talking to them quite a bit. I've made some purchases outside of shows with them, and I usually visit their table multiple times a show, all because of the relationship we built up. They often bring items that myself and Adam from the Dollar Box look for, because they know we sell those types of products. So basically, they do part of the sourcing process for us and bring those to the show because they know we might be interested. So that is part of that whole symbiotic relationship between buyers and sellers and resellers. And then we had breakers there too. And guess what? Those breakers are going to open some product. They're going to move the hits, and the rest of that stuff is going to end up in value boxes for us to grab. So it's all related. All right. So let's finish off a little bit more of our non-sport before we move on to some baseball. So the last thing I would tell you is I picked up 3 packs here of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This is they're 9 card packs with 1 sticker. Those stickers are usually fairly hot. You never know. You could get a lot of the action scenes, which are not as desirable, or you could get a lot of the main characters. So that's really what we're hoping for here. These are $4 a pack. They are unopened. So I was just trying to get to know a dealer a little bit better, and I'll often make a little purchase as I try to get to know them better. So all right, let's get into some baseball, because that is the number 2 area I said I was trying to source on this particular trip. So let's take a look. First, we got a Tristan McKenzie autographed gold, kind of that mojo parallel out of 49 out of 50. So did find some scarcity. This was actually pulled out of um there was a small amount I got from a non-sport table at pretty reasonable prices. And then there was still others I pulled out of dollar boxes and quarter boxes. So here's another numbered card. This one out of 75. I think this is just a red foil, but it's Stars of the MLB from the 2023 year, I believe. So we got Chris Bryant, the Rockies there. How about a Seth Lugo autographed out of 149 for the Kansas City Royals? This is one of my favorites for the day. I'll have to question if I want this one for myself. This is a 2023 masterpiece. Oh, sorry. Well, I like to say masterpiece. This is Museum Collection. Robin Yount of the Brewers. But this is a blue parallel numbered out of 150. So I end up with a little bit of a color match there. Let's see. I don't want to give you all my numbered stuff right away, but I had a bunch of them on the top of the pile. How about 2024? 2024 2025? What is this one? 2024. Julio Rodriguez. This insert, I'm trying to remember the name of the insert series, and it's escaping me right now. The numbering is CTC. But it's showing almost like these little airport abbreviations and the little topographic map behind them. So Julio Rodriguez there of Seattle. How about an anniversary Topps Chrome Shohei Ohtani from the Dodgers? This one, I almost walked away from this one, and I'm like, gosh, Bobby Witt Jr. and Relic. It's not the best design. It's not numbered, but I had to take a look. What does it say here about the Relic? Not from any specific game or event. So it's not game used, but when it's a superstar like Bobby Witt, I don't care. If I can get that in a dollar box or something, man, that's money. So we got Jersey Kings there with the little bit of jersey. How about a mystical Mike Trout? Mike Trout has still got pull in the hobby. Here's an anniversary. What year is this? 2025, I believe. The anniversary rookie card of. Double checking. Yep. This is 2025. Topps Chrome rookie Nick Kurtz in the anniversary foil. I believe that's the Hollow foil. And then here's some Stadium Club from this year and a design that I really like. 2025 Stadium Club. Nick Kurtz again. This is technically a rookie card. It's got the stamp on it, but the Savage Sluggers insert series. I just love that. I actually bought one from the dollar box on one of their recent Whatnot Lives. I bought is it a Mike Trout? Yeah, I bought a Trout Savage. And I just love that. But I was able to grab this one pretty reasonably at the show as well. The Roki Sasaki rookie card. These are all names that anyone would know instantly, right? Anyone in the hobby would know these instantly right now. And even some casual fans that aren't into the hobby are going to know these names right away. An Aaron Judge All-Star parallel. Now, this was a whole set with that All-Star stamp. So, pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool anyway. How about this? A Joey Votto in a 1991 Topps baseball design from 2026 Topps. We got a Joey Votto relic. Topps guarantees authenticity. Doesn't really say game used or anything like that. Just checking the back to see if there's any kind of note. And there's not. Topps didn't make us any promises on this one. But we got a relic of Joey Votto as he's at the end of his career. How about a now I watched the Royals and the Brewers recently, and I heard them call him Jack, but I would have said Jacques Caglianone. But I guess he goes by Jack now. That's not as exciting. Greatest hits. But he had a huge market in his late call-up last year and was a top prospect. So this does qualify as a rookie card as well. Up next here, we got a Tyler Glasnow. I think this is 2024 Topps. Own the Game. Nice foil card there. So you can see a trend here that I talked about in the podcast is, flashy foils, eye appeal is a big thing, but then known names as well. So I'm going to move my stack a little bit here and get ready for some more. How about an All-Star Game Mike Trout? Love the All-Star Game foil. It's pretty cool. This one is one of my favorites. So we got some Griffey. We got it in Topps Laser. So you can see, I think I might pick this one up so you can really make that out. But Topps Laser has this fine laser cut design on the edge. You can see the running man there. It's so fine. So basically a die cut laser puts that in there. So this is the base, I believe. But Griffey's evergreen, man. You can never go wrong with Griffey. This is 2024 All Topps team. So I believe this came out of 2025 Topps. We got some Bobby Witt Jr. there. Bryce Harper in the All-Star foil. Bobby Witt Jr. in the All-Star foil. Here's a new breed rookie card of Junior Caminero from Topps. I almost wanted to say this was a Bowman, but it does say Topps. Let's see. This one, I really enjoy this one. So this is a throwback reprint of Ted Williams, which is sweet enough. That's kind of a sneaky play getting these reprint cards. But the cream of the cake here is, if I flip it over, it's Carl Yastrzemski on the back. I think these were called double headers. It's an insert set, double headers. Make sure I get it at a good spot here. Yeah, so really nice. You got two big names for the price of one. Just got to flip it over. How about Michael Jack Schmidt? I think he's a name that's kind of evergreen as well. Hall of Famer. We got a To the Moon insert, die cut insert of Ronald Acuna Jr. Stars of the MLB rookie card of Jackson Chourio. Power packed insert from Stadium Club, Kyle Schwarber. This card is really sharp. Really has that eye appeal. It's from 2024 Topps. It's a gold foil border of Wade Boggs. Look at the shine on that. Really nice. Really nice. How about I think it's 100%. Whew, I got to look closer at this one. These Panini cards, sometimes it's tough to see. But this has one of those special border designs in the foil. I think it's 100%. Cal Ripken Jr., another great name in baseball. Here's a more modern prospect name from 2025 Bowman. And this is the in-action die-cut insert, J.J. Weatherholt. Pretty nice looking card there. I got a couple horizontals. Why don't I throw those in there? This one just got me for the red sparkle. Now, this is not numbered at all, but father and son cards typically do really well. And this one being a parallel as well. So, Dusty Baker and his son, Darren Baker. Really cool. I've done a few of these father and son cards, and they generally do pretty well for me. And I just really like this red kind of sapphire look to this parallel as well. Here is a 2024 World Series card. Dodgers beat the Yankees in 5. Can't go wrong with the Dodgers right now. Just a dynasty in the middle of it right now, essentially. And believe it or not, back-to-back World Series champions, and I almost feel like they're even better this year. Getting Kyle Tucker in there was amazing. Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, that pitching staff with Roki and Yoshi. Man, good closer there. It's just the rich get richer in baseball, essentially. Of course, when you see a Babe Ruth, you pick up a Babe Ruth. Here's another numbered card. It's on the back. This is a bookend too, so we'll get that in there and show you. Get it in the right spot. This is a 50 of 50, and this is a red parallel of Tyrone Taylor, former Brewer. Oops, I put it in there upside down for you because I just wanted a little challenge for you. There you go. Tyrone Taylor, who this is from his Brewers season, so this would have been at least 2 seasons ago. Ironic thing about Tyrone Taylor is I chose him as an emerging brewer a couple years ago, and actually proceeded to collect the whole rainbow of his cards that season. Um, that didn't work out for me. The scarcity maintains, but I really thought that Tyrone Taylor was on the verge of getting starter innings, and he did not, although he went on to the Mets, and he is continuing to have a pretty good career there. I don't know if he's getting more minutes now, but he's definitely getting minutes. Here's another serial number. This one's out of 199. There you go. And this is a team card. This is a red foil. Um, and it's got a sparkle too. So I'm trying to think of what they call these. It's not ice. Is it sparkle foil? Am I overcomplicating things? I'll just put it on top there. But San Francisco Giants and we'll call it sparkle foil red. Pretty cool looking card there. Team cards are not the biggest hitters, but if I can get a parallel, that serial number, then I'll take a shot on it. How about some Aaron Judge Topps Chrome Night Terrors? That is an insert set that I love. I will grab those anytime I can find them in a value box. Here's an Upper Deck MVP Ken Griffey Jr. late in his career with the Cincinnati Reds. Another all-star foil Shohei Ohtani. So another Night Terrors from Topps Chrome. This one's Ellie De La Cruz. Couple more baseball here to go. How about a Diamond Marvels Paul Skeens? Skeens continues to be a marvel. I know I predicted that as a power pitcher, he's not going to have a long career. He's still doing well, but I still would be concerned that the way he throws, down the road, there's a Tommy John surgery at some point in his future. How about a Bobby Witt Team USA? People like the Team USA sets. My brother in particular keeps asking me, when is the current Team USA going to be out in a set? And the release date hadn't been set when I last checked on it. But he asks me every time he sees me. About an Aaron Judge Bomb Squad. Classic card here. Nicely centered, which is what made me grab this one. It wasn't necessarily in a value box, but I got this for about $1.50. Bo Jackson rookie card, the future stars from the top set. And then last one here in the modern baseball category. This is a Topps insert from 2026. This is the new year. Yeah, 2026. This is the Titans of the Game insert and Aaron Judge. Nice foil card there. So that's our baseball. The second category, we said we were going to go out and build up in our inventory sourcing for the day. Non-sport and baseball. How did we do on those two so far? All right, so now we took a little foray into vintage baseball. Something new for me. So I didn't want to take a lot of risk in it. I came across a table that had a half off box. So I took a shot. Took a couple cards. Even if I'm not able to move them, or even if I move them at a loss, these will end up being a little bit of educational material for me to learn more about how vintage works. So up next, I've got a 19... Oh, gosh. The first part I struggle with is I don't really see clear documentation of the years on them. Here's what I will tell you, though. They were sorted by years, and everything I grabbed was in the 60s. This is a 68 All-Star Selection Harmon Killebrew. So I would assume this is a 69 Topps. This one ended up having a little bit of creasing in it. I don't know if you can see it, but kind of right down here. It's a little bit of creasing. If you can't see it, that's probably a good thing for me. But yeah, Harmon Killebrew, the Hebrew Hammer. has always been a good name for me when I have modern reprints of things. So that was one of the cards that I tried. Then we got some Billy Williams of the Cubs. Really nice condition on that one. Centering's a little bit off. Luis Aparicio. It's another player. Really, I was looking for names as I went through here and tried to find names that I thought would be instantly recognizable. Here's another Luis Aparicio. A little bit of soft corners and such. Again, these cards are from the 60s, so I would expect some condition issues. This next one is a 1969 Dodgers Don Sutton. And this one's got a little pinhole at the top right there. Pretty common back in the day for kids to be pinning up their favorite cards. This one does not have any pinholes or creases that I can see. It does have a little rough corner on it. This is a 69 as well. Brooks Robinson of the Orioles. All these players, really, I just went after Hall of Famers, right? Up next, an American League All-Star. Again, no year on the card. It was in the 60s. Somewhere between, I would say this would have been somewhere between 65 and 69. Carl Yastrzemski. And this last one is a 1962, I believe. Topps Roger Maris, because the back of the card is celebrating his 61 homers, which I believe was in 1961. Let me double check. Sure enough, the back talks about his homers in 1961. But what's interesting about this one is I purposely chose a marked up card because I like that this one tells a story. So you can see someone put a mustache and a goatee on Roger Maris here, swinging away. And I find that incredibly fun. You know, I remember the dealer when I started negotiating. Initially, they're like, "Well, that's $100 card," and I said, "Not with this mustache and goatee on it." And they said, "Well, I didn't do that." I'm like, I understand that, but somebody did, and it's no longer $100 card. So we ended up settling on a much lower price, but I totally honest and transparent. I don't know the right amount of adjustment for that kind of markup. Um, Part of me is like, hey, this is still a 1962 baseball card of a record, reviewing a record breaking season of a legendary player. Anyone who knows baseball would recognize the name Roger Maris, of a really titan of a team, the Yankees. And then you have someone who defaced the card, but did so in a way that adds some humor. This card isn't necessarily destroyed. I would say this card has character and tells a story. But an iconic, year that this is representing. So I was willing to take a shot on it. So we'll see what happens. All right, we're going to move on from baseball. That covers all my baseball pickups for the day. Really interested to see how that vintage set goes. But up next, I've got a little bit of football for you that I bought at a non-sport table because they kind of mix things together. So the dealer that I go to for Kakawau on a regular basis also moves some sports, and they had a small curated lot of Jackson Smith and Jigba, who just came off an outstanding season. His cards were super hot. So I decided to go ahead and jump in for a low price of it was less than $20 for this 25 card lot of a player that I believe will start this season hot again. So There's the prism break insert. And some of these I ended up with a lot of duplicates, and that is okay. For example, here's 2 rookie Jackson Smith and Jigbas from Pinnacle. So getting a little duplication on a player like that, perfectly fine in my book. If I can sell quantity, that's great. Here's 3 score potential Jackson Smith in Jigba. In the Ohio State uni there, which has its own benefits. Here's 4 score copies of 2023 rookie Jackson Smith in Jigba in his Ohio State uni. Here's a 5th one, actually. We got the 5 copies on that one. Here is a Phoenix. I always mess up the name on these. Yeah, Panini Chronicles Phoenix. So not the true Phoenix set, but the Chronicles insert of Phoenix from 2023. So there he is again in the white Ohio State uni. Just making sure I get some of these doubles together. Oh, and I do have a couple more. So we did see this score rookie card before. It gives us another copy. Here's another score potential. So we're adding up some numbers here and quantity. Get that stack straightened out. Got a couple horizontal cards here I'm saving for the end. And then how about 1, 2, 3, 4 copies of Don Russ rated rookie Jackson Smith and Jigba? And the rated rookie is desirable. It'd be better if it was the optic, but even the paper at a decent price is all right. Here is a Zenith rookie from Panini. And here's a select certified rookie from Panini. And those are, foil finishes, chromium, if you will, I guess. I think the difference is that's actually foil versus chromium. And here's 2 copies of Absolute Football, again, rookie season. So lots of rookie cards of Jackson Smith and Jigba to carry that hot pace into the next year. Those were the vertical copies. Here's some horizontals. So here's another prism break. Prism break. Very cool. Here's a couple contenders rookie cards. Got 2 copies of that. And this one is a Chronicles Contenders draft picks, and it is a Prism parallel. I'm not sure which one this will be, probably a Hyper or something like that. But again, rookie card, Ohio State uniform. So decent pickups from a predominantly non-sport table. So we will continue on with our other football pickups for the day. This is 2016 Panini Collegiate Draft Picks, and it's a nice prism with a nice hollow prism finish to it. That is Andy Dalton from his TCU days, which I especially appreciate. I was a TCU fan. I want to get this in the right position here. Oh, man, I'm way off center. Let's look at that. There we go. And then how about some Kirk Cousins, a rookie card from Rookies and Stars. A rookie card of Bengals receiver, A.J. Green. This is an acetate card of the Dallas Cowboys. Let's see, 96 Collector's Choice Edge or Collector's Edge. Yeah, 96 Collector's Edge. President's Reserve, so a clear acetate card of Jay Novacek. Another Panini draft picks, collegiate draft picks, and another Hollow Prism. This is Amari Cooper in his Alabama uniform. We've got a Prism 2021. Wow, has he been playing that long already? So this is a Pat Fryermuth from the Steelers in his Penn State Nittany Lions uni. This one is kind of a personal preference. Look, I'm not going to tell you all that you guys should grab cards like this next one. But for me, it's a personal preference. I pick up some of the all-time greats in this position. This is Bengals lineman Anthony Munoz, Hall of Fame tackle. That's a personal love of mine. Offensive line play. I'm a high school coach in part of my time and been coaching for many years, and that's my primary position as a coach. So I like to pick up some of the greats as I come across them. Up next is something a little more modern, 2021 Panini Playbook. And this was a surprise. So got this out of a value box, and I'll hold this one up closer, and you see, if I can get the angle right, this is a parallel out of 25 out of a value box, and it's DeAndre Swift. So, not by any means a no name, not a superstar, but for a card out of 25, that'll have some value out of a value box. Here's another lineman pickup, modern set here, Topps Chrome 2024, I believe. Topps Chrome Football, Larry Allen, another great lineman. Sometimes I grab things because I forget that player played for a certain team. For example, Emmitt Smith, when I see him in a Cardinals uniform, I'm always like, oh yeah, I forgot he finished his career over there. And I pick those up because they're kind of unique. This is a similar one. This is from Score, 2019 Score. Throwbacks insert set with a nice little foil look to it. Adrian Peterson with the Washington Redskins. We're back to Panini Collegiate Draft Picks from what year was this set? Because this is like the third or fourth card, 2016. So, got a nice little run of these. Another Hollow Prism. This one of Jamal Charles from the Texas Longhorns. This is a pretty popular set from back in the day. 1989 Pro Set. I don't pick up too many cards from this. But this one was a rookie card of Andre Rison and his Michigan State Spartans. How about a Dalton Kincaid first Bowman from Bowman U? We'll reset our stack. Hopefully you got a good look at that Dalton Kincaid. Nice prism on that. Well, I said prism. I shouldn't say prism, right? That's a refractor finish on that. Got to be precise with your finishes because there's different names for different producers. This next one is a classic player in a modern card, and I kind of hemmed and hawed a little bit, which broke my own rule. If you can't instantly decide if you should get the card, you probably shouldn't. But this is a 2023 Panini Illusions Funkadelic insert. So another acetate card. The player is Drew Pearson of the Cowboys. And I guess because I had that conversation with myself, I don't know. Funkadelics haven't moved all that great for me. I like them. I love the design. But I was like, Drew Pearson is probably one of the perfect athletes to be in that particular set because he was playing in the late 70s. So I grabbed it. I was like, it seems like it's meant to be. How about a top signature class? Another lineman here, but a little different story on this lineman. This lineman has liquidity. I don't know how much longer it will last, but recently retired. His brother still plays and is a well-known name as well. He's in a lot of commercials these days. He does some TV work on Sundays, pregame, postgame. Jason Kelsey of the Philadelphia Eagles. Really nice volume on his work. Up next, one of my favorite players of all time, one of my idols when I was a kid. It's a hollow prism and it's a die cut. Um, Joe Montana. Joe Cool. To me, he was everything a quarterback should be. Now we go to the other side of the ball and an Illusions card, 2022 Panini Chronicles Illusions draft picks. So really digging in the weeds there. But one thing I like about Illusions is they have that nice shiny hollow foil type finish in their base cards. But this one is Lawrence Taylor in his University of North Carolina Tar Heels uni, and I don't necessarily see that a ton. Most of the cards I see in LT are in his Giants uniform, so I took a shot on that one. We got a green mosaic green reactive prism, I think is what they call it. In mosaic, we got an Eli Manning here. There's one particular reason I chose this card, and I should probably zoom in on it for you. It is this, where is it? This little Super Bowl, there we go, Super Bowl logo right there. That's the whole reason I took this. I feel like these cards move better because they commemorate a specific game, that Super Bowl XLV. So, just something that I noticed along the way, and I use it to help me make some of the decisions. Up next is a Hall of Fame tight end that, in my opinion, doesn't sell nearly as much as his resume would dictate. It's from 2000, Pacific Vanguard. Pacific is a trading card brand that I miss, but I hit a little run of Tony Gonzalez that had some nice looks to it. So you can see the nice little bit of shine on that one. And then I hit a Flair Showcase. Say that 20 times fast. 99. And again, nice finish on it. You got the jersey number there. Just a great design. Add to that, I also got this nice horizontal card from 99 Flair Showcase. And there that one is. Again, nice looking card. Kind of the normal portrait on one side and the hollow foil finish on the other side. While I got that horizontal, I will throw this next card up there. This card was all about a unique situation for it. 2021 Panini Donruss Elite, I believe it's 2021. Dual threats insert. How many of you remember Ocho Cinco the kicker? I didn't. I remember a lot of Ocho Cinco. I don't remember when he was kicking field goals and extra points. But this card commemorates that, and that to me makes it a good flyer, especially in a value box, because there's little risk. But so I like to take cards like that show something unique, and most often that pays off for me. A little bit more football we'll go through here. Hey, we're back to Panini Collegiate draft picks again. This one is an LSU card. Again, a hollow foil prism. How about a little Odell Beckham? Love the look of that card. Another acetate card here. This is from EX. Century EX, right? Yeah, Century EX. This is a Terrell Owens acetate card. So got a clear one there. This guy likes to bake. Can't deny him. 2024 Don Russ, Gridiron Kings, Baker Mayfield. It's a name that continues to sell well. Then we got a Jamar Chase, Don Russ Elite Spellbound with the S. I love the Spellbound set. I love that it entices people to collect till they get all the names. This is a unique choice too. I don't know how many people share my opinion on this. This is a 2024 Panini Donruss team card, but it is celebrating the Kansas City Chiefs as Super Bowl LVIII champions. So, if you want a team card of your favorite team, wouldn't you want it to be a championship card? I know I would. If my Milwaukee Brewers ever win the World Series, you better believe that I'm going to have some of their team cards from the year. Back to another classic lineman. This one, the set really helped me make this decision. Donruss Optic, really a good set for collectors and casual buyers alike. It's a little sturdier card. It's got a nice look to it, moderately priced. But another lineman, Hall of Famer, Tony Baselli. I do get these stickers every once in a while. Collector's Choice. Got a Marshall Faulk Indianapolis Colts sticker. This next one is just a known name. I think most football fans will recall this name. Maybe some of the younger kids that collect won't know this name. But this was a 2006 Topps Chrome. And I think it was a Hall of Fame commemorative set. So this is about class of 1963 and slinging Sammy Baugh, the Redskins, I believe. Another Donruss Optic here, Tyreek Hill. I think Tyreek Hill, most of his cards are more successful in a Chiefs uni. Topps Chrome Black. I do like a little Topps Chrome Black when it's a Hall of Fame or well-known name. Bills Mafia. If you're looking for some Jim Kelly, I got your hookup. One of the greatest names of all time, and this is a modern card. Topps Composite. So what year is that? 24? Yeah, 2024 Topps Composite. But it's Bo Jackson, and what I loved about this one when I looked at it is the title on it. So it says Bo knows how to take it to the house, and everybody remembers the Bo Knows commercials. Next up is a 2022 Panini Contenders. I believe this is a green foil parallel legendary players Herschel Walker. And then this card, I do sell this one over and over again, even in some of those junk wax sets that don't have much scarcity. This is from 88 Topps. A really clean, well-centered card, which made it an easy pick. Tony Dorsett, when he was still with the Cowboys. And then one last Cowboys running back. This one is a 2022 Contenders, and this is from the Gladiators insert set, and I believe this is a green parallel as well. Tony Dorsett. So that takes us through our football pickups, and that means only one category to go, and that is wrestling. My wild card pickups for the day that I didn't really plan on, but found a nice wrestling table. So let's get into those. All right, so I had no plans to seek out a table with wrestling and bring home a bunch of wrestling, but an opportunity presented itself, and I really liked the quality I saw at the table and the prices I saw at the table. So I had a change of plans. It actually made me run back to the ATM to extend my budget a little bit for the day and get a little bit more. So first off, I found a number of items out of the Cactus Jack set that recently came out. Now that's a $300-400 box. I did not buy any personally. Typically, that's a little out of my price range when I'm looking for retail product. And I had not seen much in value boxes yet, but finally I started to find some, and I could not resist. So, first off the bat, the immortal one, Hulk Hogan, out of the Cactus Jack set. I love it. That Hulk Hogan is still like the top selling wrestling personality in the hobby. So I could not pass on that. Up next is a card that is numbered out of 99, if I can get it on camera here. Too much light. Bright light, as the gremlins used to say. There you go, out of 99. It's Mean Gene Okerlund in a green parallel. Classic wrestling announcer that we all imitated when we were kids. Here's a modern wrestler. I'm a little surprised they haven't had better stories for her. I think she went through some injuries, had some personal stuff maybe going on, but this is a 2022 Panini NXT WWE version, but it's considered her rookie card. Tiffany Stratton. I almost said Trish. Tiffany Stratton. And here's another Tiffany Stratton out of the new Cactus Jack set. So, really good job with that card design as well. Now we've got, I think this is out of top. Yeah, 2025 Topps Finest WWE. This is a Drew McIntyre from the Intimidators, and it's like gosh, who knows what they call this today. I've seen these, I think maybe on Panini. They're called building blocks. But I can't recall what Topps calls it. I'm going to call it a checkerboard parallel because you can see it basically looks like a little checkerboard in there. There's little squares. In any event, a nice parallel insert of multi-time WWE champion. Up next is a card out of 2024 National Treasures, really coveted set. This is numbered out of 99 as well. You can see it there. It's kind of tough to see, man. The lighting makes it tough to see some of these stamps, but it is out of 99, and this is a JBL card. And pretty hefty if you've never had that set. Look how thick that is. That is a sturdy card. There's no bend to that at all. So JBL, time as an announcer, one half of the old APA, the Acolyte Protection Agency. And then he went on to a solo run with a pretty long championship run as well. Here's another Tiffany Stratton from Panini Prism. One of the darlings of the women's division these days. This comes from Cactus Jack Rodeo Rebels. Little Liv Morgan here. There we go. Up next is another numbered card. This must be a green parallel, I'm guessing, out of the Cactus Jack. Trick Willie, y'all. Trick Willie out of 99. That's right, Trick Williams. I think he's got some major storylines coming his way in the near future. Hasn't been up on the main roster long yet, but he is a producer darling. Here's another one, Astro Knights insert out of Cactus Jack. Another Trick Williams. Woo, so slick. I can't keep it on there. There we go. The Trick Williams. I love the fence there. Because they're so slippery, I'm going to go ahead and adjust the stack. Start placing a new card. One of my favorites here. This is out of, I think this is just the base top set. It is not Cactus Jack. And what year we got? We got 2025 Topps WWE. And it's the Star Portal insert set. Kevin Owens. Look at the color on that thing. One of my favorite newer members of WWE in the women's division. This is a rookie card from Donruss Elite WWE. So it would be 2023. And I think this is still in her NXT time. She's getting a little bit of run on the main roster from time to time now. Soul Ruka. If you haven't seen her Soul Snatcher finishing move, you need to check it out. It is really impressive. One of my favorite pickups coming up here for the day, another base top set, 2025. This is the namesakes insert, and it has got I kind of feel like I see the Unparalleled logo on here as well. But this is the namesakes insert of Jake the Snake Roberts. I would tell you that's Damien there with him, but honestly, I don't know if it is. There is probably so many versions of that boa constrictor or python over the years. Who knows what snake that really is? But really cool card, really nice foil finish on that. Here's a named arrival, Hulk Hogan. This is another Cactus Jack base, the Phenom, the Undertaker. And our last one of the day, this is interesting. Looking at this, I initially thought this was Cactus Jack. So 2025 Tops. It does not appear to be a Cactus Jack, but it's got that. Oh, it's a Topps Finest. That's what it is. But it's got the steel plating finish that kind of reminiscent of the kind of black and white picture image of Cactus Jack as well. But this is a Topps Finest Sol Ruka. Really sharp card there as well. And that takes us through our wrestling cards for the day and the last of our pickups. I really hope you enjoyed playing along with us as we shared all of our pickups here today. I know this was a long episode. If you made it all the way through, hey, I appreciate you. Tells me we're really putting out there some content you enjoy. Next week, we'll be going back to the normal podcast format. Short 15 to 20 minute podcast on another operational subject in the business. But I had gotten some requests for some pickup shares, and we recently just had the GOAT Card Show here in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And I thought, what a great opportunity to combine the podcast and a pickups video and really double up on the content for 1 week and let you see the kind of stuff we're picking up at the GOAT Card Show. So thanks for being here with me. Always a pleasure sharing these with you. Take care of each other and keep building those stacks.